Hi, my name is Gerrell Bones, and together, working with Jonathan Masino, we have created a online web store database, as presented to you now. So the project topic is we chose to create an online web store database because we both have lots of experience using online shopping stores. We also felt that it would provide a challenge, but not enough that it would be impossible to complete. This comes from both of our backgrounds being in information technology and dealing with a huge database regarding retail and just purchasing through customer and company relationships, being able to know and understand what our company needs in terms of data analytics, etc. We also determined that an online store would be the best way to demonstrate our knowledge of relational databases due to the fact that there are at least 3 to 4 relationships between some of these tables. Some specific ones can run up to even 7 or 8 relationships, depending on just how intricate the system is working. But for this project, we kept it very simple and straightforward to make sure that we displayed the knowledge of our database creation, use, and implementation as well. By using MySQL, we were able to build schema with the following tables below. Store, which would be either the store number. In this case, we would have multiple stores for different sections, different regions of the world. The user, which is probably one of the most important features, is the user interface towards what we would grab from the customer in this case and return to the company. The sales reps are each person that you would call as a user slash customer in this case to be able to give help, give knowledge, give tips, or any kind of support needed towards the customer. The cart is going to be your shopping cart in this case. It can be a literal example or a figurative one. This refers to having your items go inside and are held in place on your user profile and turns into your transaction. So, an item, this is the second most important thing, as this is what our users are going to be looking at and trying to order from the company. The items can go from descriptions, name, part numbers, etc. The invoice, this is how we would technically bill and receive money from the customer or user in this case. Very important as it will need very, very different relationships towards all of these tables. And then the transaction will be what the user goes through to buy and purchase in order to receive an invoice from the company. This is our ER diagram. Well, at the very top, we start with the store. It has a name and it has one only specific name. This flows down into the user. The user will have to go through a store in order to begin their sign up process, their shopping process, etc. The user has a unique user ID, first name, last name, email, shipping address, and billing address. Then the user has 3 different directions that he or she can take in terms of in terms of their relationship to our database. If they are beginning to shop, they would simply make a cart in this case, and in our cart we have 2 unique IDs. First one is the cart ID and the invoice ID. Quantity, total, and price. Now, through the cart, it has to have an item so that it can technically generate an invoice. In this case, we'll follow with what the cart has to have. So, with the items, we have my apologies. It is an item ID number, not an invoice ID. My apologies. So it is an item ID number, description, quantity, price, and color. Now, these items are formed into the cart. After the cart is filled with any item, one at least being the minimum, you are able to generate an invoice to the customer or the user in this case. The invoice has a price, quantity, invoice ID specifically, and then a user ID as well to show its relationship to the user. And then the invoice has to have a transaction tied to it as well. This is how the company will know if the customer has paid anything or tracks anything in terms of payment. So with the transaction, you have a transaction ID, a date, and a video. Sorry, my apologies. A voice ID, invoice ID. Now, once the invoice has been paid, it goes to the user. The user may have an issue with this invoice, or an item may not have come. Simply any matter like that where they need help with something. The company also uses sales reps. This is what the user talks to. These sales reps have a sales ID number, a first name, last name, a area in terms of regions, and then a time zone to make sure that the user matches with their time zone as well. And that is all for our ER diagram. We have 5 scenarios for our database to showcase its information through the MySQL queries.
My name is Jonathan Masino, and I'm going to go over our database functions that we made using SQL queries. So the first one we will select the first names of users who have carts that contain blue pens. So we'll select F name from the tables user, cart, and items, where user's UID is equal to cart's UID, cart's IID is equal to item's IID, item's name is equal to pen, and item's color is equal to blue. So if we run that, you can see that users with the first names Khalil and Salia have carts that contain blue pens. Next one we have is select users' first and last names who have the same billing and shipping address. So we'll select F name and L name from the user table, where shipping address is equal to billing address, and we'll order it by last name. So if we run that, you can see that Galita Benia and Alita Walker have this, are users that have the same billing and shipping address. Next, we'll select sales representatives' first and last names who have helped users with a cart total less than $10. So we'll select F name and L name from the sales rep table and the cart table, where sales rep's UID is equal to cart's UID, and the cart's total price is less than $10. So here you can see we have Talia Joseph, Judith Daisy, James Bond, and Talia Joseph again. Talia showed up twice because they helped 2 different customers that had cart totals less than $10. Next, we'll select items that have a quantity greater than 10 and a price less than 5. So we'll select name from the item table, where the quantity is less than 10 and the price is greater than 5. I'm sorry, the quantity is greater than 10 and the price is less than 5. So if we run that, you can see that pen, ruler, pencil, and glue are all items that have a quantity of greater than 10 but a price less than 5. Finally, we'll select the email of users who have paid an invoice prior to January 1st, 2023. So we'll select email from the user, transaction, and invoice tables, where user's UID is equal to the item's UID, and the item's VID is equal to the transaction VID, and the transaction date is before January 1st, 2023. So if you run that, you can see that we get 3 emails here: aliw@gmail.com, geb@gmail.com, and gal@aol.com.